Hey all, and welcome back to LEGO Dimensions: Sonic the Hedgehog. We've gone through the regular story and whatnot. Now we get to, stretch our legs a little and roam about in 3D with frame rates that are just beautiful. Just beautiful, really. Remember, this is the Xbox 360 version. What we're going to be doing throughout this feature-length part is going around Sonic's world, quote-unquote, and collecting all the golden bricks and whatnot. And you may see some strange cameos here or there that will make Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness look like a fucking picnic. So, I guess while this is happening, we don't really need to do like a blow-by-blow thing here until we reach the quests towards the end of the video. So, which upcoming Sonic topic would you like to talk about first?
Well, given we're playing an open world Sonic area, I think it makes sense to go straight into Frontiers.
Ah, indeed. Yep, at the 2021 Game Awards, Jeff Keighley not only showed off a new trailer for the second Sonic movie. Well, I say Jeff, it was more Ben Schwartz and Jim Carrey under some sort of psychosis with a pre-recorded video. But that looks fantastic. But the other thing that Jeff Keighley did announce was Sonic Frontiers. And this was what was rumoured to be Sonic Rangers for the longest time. And there's been various leaks and whatnot about, its content. And all of them seem to be matching up. So we may be looking at a plot featuring Sonic developing Amnesia, which will be written by Ian Flynn. Open world Breath of the Wild style gameplay, most likely with shrines akin to the ones in Breath of the Wild where we get Chaos Emeralds and like mini levels and whatnot, and huge bosses. Personally, I hope we get, oh my god, it's Jake from Adventure Time.
Yeah, I did skim the footage and I know there's a lot of this coming in. This, while we've got it on screen, I want to say this is something that I've seen people complain about, and the fact that when you get the other characters, you do get the in-game instruction manuals on how to put the Lego pieces together, but they don't get an actual physical print one, which kind of seems like a missed opportunity there.
Definitely a missed opportunity.
But yeah, at least you can have other characters in Sonic's world now. But yeah, Sonic Frontiers. I think I need to see a bit more of it before I can form a solid opinion, but I'm liking what I'm seeing so far.
Agreed. I'm very much in that same place of, obviously, I have been burned many times before at this point by Sonic Team and the Sonic games. Like, I've not really properly enjoyed one since Generations.
Okay.
So obviously Mania was in there, but I've not played Mania, so I've only played the 3D ones, really. So it's just been a frustrating near decade of Sonic mediocrity. So I need a little bit more gameplay to see whether I'm actually going to get excited playing this damn thing or not. But in terms of the level of ambition that is on show, I'm definitely willing to give it a chance, because it is more ambition than was seen in the entirety of either Lost World or Forces or Colours, or Generations, actually, to be fair. There's a lot of wrinkles that clearly need fixing. I mean, the fact that the frame rate wasn't even solid in the trailer for the damn thing, little bit concerning, but I like the hope of the ambition that they're going for, and once we actually see some gameplay and how it actually works, we will go from there.
Don't think Voldemort liked you talking about the iffy frame rate there. He'd probably go to Avabra Abracadabra you.
Of course.
Just look at this imagery. Voldemort flying throughout Green Hill Zone. And Jake the dog is there as well.
But I kind of echo what you were saying, Rich. I can appreciate the thing that's given me a bit of hope here is that it looks like there's at least some passion behind what they're doing with the open world there. Like, they've gone above and beyond to make this world look as pretty as they can, and that it's a promising sign that this is an entirely new concept for Sonic. They're not just reusing the boost format that they've been using for years. You know, like, just the fact that there's clearly a lot of love put into that, I'm hoping that that's represented in the gameplay as well. It's just the gameplay is the thing I'm a little bit worried about, because I'm curious how satisfying of a Sonic level you can make in that kind of area, because you're obviously going to need to have a lot going on, and so far we've only seen the environments, we haven't seen levels, or like we haven't seen much in terms of level design features, and that's kind of divided there, because like, yeah, this could lead for a lot of interesting platforming, or it could lead to Holdex to win. You know, like, it could go either way depending on what sort of direction they take for level design.
Yeah, it's very true.
That's what I'm a little bit worried about, because like, we knew the same sort of thing happened with Forces, where it was like it had a long development cycle, and they had worked on a new lighting engine for the sake of the visuals, but when it came to gameplay, it's just hold X for a minute at a time. That's why I'm a little bit nervous about the fact that we haven't seen gameplay yet.
That being said, the Holiday 2022 thing, that does lend credence to the fact that they're seemingly trying to polish it as much as they can. And, you know, we may not have seen any gameplay, but at the same time, we didn't see any gameplay, so it's kind of hard to judge either way. You know, there may be some overworld stuttering. There's overworld stuttering in Breath of the Wild, and this had a much larger pool of people working on it than I imagine Sonic Frontiers will have. As for me, I'm actually excited about this. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Yes, this is Ethan Hunt from Mission Impossible, just to make sure he's noticed and whatnot. I don't care if Frontiers turns out to be 06 levels of bad. I just want them to actually try again. And, you know, I don't mind Forces, but at the same time, Forces was not it. It was faux deep. You know, the story was faux deep, the gameplay was faux deep. It's essentially giving you the veneer of, like, a fully fleshed out boost game and a dramatic story, but not really. It doesn't really go anywhere. And credit where credit's due, Forces had a lot of, like, alternate and branching paths in its level design, but it doesn't really matter when those levels are like 2 minutes a pop.
Yeah.
2 minutes is being generous, but like, the problem I have with Forces is that I like Forces, but it feels like a demo of something else. Like, everything there feels like it's just rushed through. It feels like just to, like, they've got the ideas and they're trying to make a Boost Sonic game similar to Gens, but everything consistently through the game, it feels undercooked. What's there's okay, but it's just not satisfying. It doesn't give you that satisfaction that something like Generations did.
Yeah.
Again, that's something else that's why I really want to see the gameplay being fairly fleshed out in Frontiers before I get too strongly invested one way or the other. But I also do feel like we need to bring up, like, there's the comparisons to Breath of the Wild and that when we're thinking about performance and stuff like that, but a poorly performing Sonic game is far more damning than a poorly performing Zelda game. You know, for a series that's known for its twitch reactions and going fast.
Yes.
Like, if there's frame drops in Sonic, it's a much bigger problem. And also there's the fact that Zelda is running on the Switch as a Switch exclusive. Whereas, like, I doubt they'd be using Switch footage for a trailer.
Yes, you're very correct.
So that's a little bit more concerning there. Like, it's common practice for trailers to use PC footage and have it on highest settings or whatever. So if the trailer's unoptimized, that's not a good look.
You have a point there, and you mentioned the Switch. Like, I don't know how the game is going to run on that, and I don't just mean frame rate wise, I just mean like conceptually.
There being a Switch version in itself, and this isn't purely a Sonic Frontiers thing, this is basically any game, having a Switch version of a multiplat is a bit of a red flag, because it means that they're not going to be able to properly utilise SSD support, which is something that would really benefit a Sonic game, especially an open world Sonic game.
Yes.
In fairness, at this point in time, a lot of games are affected by this anyway because of the limited distribution of the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. That's like an ongoing problem. It's a much bigger thing than just games. I know that. But like, if you think of the stuff that PS5 exclusives have used to its benefit, if you look at like Rift Apart, Ratchet and Clank, how that benefits from having the SSD because it can just pull different assets up really quickly.
Yeah.
That's the sort of thing that Sonic would benefit from possibly more than any other series, because you'd be able to have just a solid 3D fast-paced action game, which so far on existing consoles hasn't been able to happen. Like, the reason why you get all these sections in the Boost games to like where it switches to 2D for a few seconds just to slow Sonic down, that exists because the game has to load in the next part of the level. It wouldn't need to have those arbitrary caps if it was strictly running from an SSD. But the fact that it's running off the Switch's flash memory as well, it means it can't really do that. I don't know, like, this is a problem that we've always had with Nintendo, but at least during like the Wii era, it was kind of accepted that it was so different you would have to make just a different version of the game for that. Whereas when it's just porting down the more established version of the game to a slightly weaker system, then it's a genuine thorn in the side of gaming in general. That's my problem with the Switch. I know a lot more came out there than just the Sonic tangent it started off being, but you know, that's my problem with the Switch.
Thank you, Batman. Very cool. But yeah, there's concerns with like frame rates and, you know, porting and whatnot. But just the general like conceit of, you know, we have an overworld and mini levels and, you know, a story that's not overly serious for its own good, but serious enough where it's like, yeah, I'm feeling like there's actual stakes here, which feels nice. We don't have like some translated plot where Sonic's been tortured for several months but seems no different.
Absolutely fine.
Yeah, he seems absolutely fine. And that was a dub thing. I don't think that existed in the original script, so that was Pontac and Graf just taking liberties and whatnot. And I don't think Ian Flynn, you know, the Sonic diehard that he is, would take such liberties, mostly because Sonic team is probably watching him like a hawk.
Yeah, the thing that I am looking forward to about Ian Flynn writing is that Ian Flynn knows how to write Sonic, whereas Graf and Pontac, I don't think their stories were as bad as a lot of people think they are. Like, I have problems with the scripts and stuff like Lost World and Forces, but like when they were working on colours, I thought that was okay for Sonic. But the problem that I do have with their stuff is they're not really writing Sonic, they're writing a funny cartoon animal show. It's like they've got the jokes, they've got the quips and all that, but it doesn't really have any of the Sonic identity that we had either in the classics or like during the Dreamcast era. It just didn't really carry over. It became a lot more of a generic kids show kind of writing. It took a lot of the charm that Sonic had, it made it less of a Sonic thing and more of a, okay, well, we've got to put a story in this game that we otherwise probably wouldn't have put a story in. That's kind of the vibe I got from that.
This is a bit harsh, but it kind of comes off like something DreamWorks would put out, or maybe Illumination.
Yes, I think that's a good way of sort of phrasing it. Like, it is very much that it's Sonic written by people who don't understand what makes Sonic work. Sonic is at his best when he is allowed to be, yes, it's a talking blue bloody hedgehog, but also there's a level of sincerity and heart, and it's allowed to be, actually this is quite cool, and have those moments. Like, it's why the Sonic the Hedgehog movie works, because it has elements of that meta humour and humour in general, but it allows the story to just be its own thing and exist as a story. It's the characters inhabiting the world rather than the world, like the humour being the world.
To be fair, I don't think Pontiac and Graf actually write the base story. They handle all the dialogue and whatnot, and the translations. I think they may have written Lost World, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I do also want to bring up the other side of things, and this, I guess this is probably more of a subjective thing in the grand scheme of things, but I do also feel like the modern Sonic style of writing is a response to a lot of the more public criticism that the mid-2000s game stories got. That's also why I get annoyed with the more disingenuous Sonic criticism in games journalism. This modern Sonic writing is kind of what the critics at the time were asking for. You know, like, they were always complaining about it's too edgy, it's got all Sonic's friend characters taking over the story. You know, it's all these different things that now they're doing what those people were asking for, and it does seem like a genuine response to that criticism because of how it's handled. But those people weren't really the demographic for the more, I guess, shonen-esque writing that Sonic had up to that point.
Yeah.
So it kind of is a case of it's trying to satisfy one crowd by completely alienating another.
And I suppose taking that just the one step further, it's trying to please the crowd that didn't really care or want to be pleased in the first place by spiting the people who kind of made the franchise what it was in the first place. And that's not really the way that you handle a franchise, but I think the fact that they have gone to Ian Flynn to work on the story is a positive sign, because in general he is very well liked in the Sonic community for everything that I am able to see anyway.
He overuses, like, really on-the-nose references a bit too much for my liking, in, like, the IDW comic and whatnot, but, whatever. He's having fun, I guess, and, got a little bit of not Ice Cap Zone music here. I always love these Penguin Bandits.
Yeah, like, I know Ian Flynn can be a bit referential for that, but I don't mind that as much in the context of a wider Sonic story. It's just when it's like a generic story that they think, oh, we should probably give a wink and a nudge to a fan, to the fans, just to keep interested for a while. That's when it just feels a bit more cynical. And like, again, I feel like Ian Flynn probably could tone that down if he's doing like a more serious kind of story with Frontiers. But between the two evils, I'd lean towards his much more so than I would for the Pontiac and Graf kind of thing.
Now, we were talking about Sonic Frontiers before we kind of veered off to shit on Pontiac and Graf, and let me just state for the record, I have nothing against those guys, but I'm glad their era is over and we're getting someone else, you know, handling the translation, writing stories, etc., etc. So Frontiers, I'm pretty much on board with everything they've shown so far, what little of it we've seen. The voice in the trailer talking Sonic was confirmed on a live stream a couple of days ago, actually, to be Amy, so not entirely sure what's going on there. It might lend credence to the rumour of Sonic having amnesia, because he did look a bit puzzled when he escaped those robots or whatever, like he wasn't really aware of what he was looking at, so who knows. One of the so-called leaks for Sonic Unlimited was a story about Sonic and Amy, both of them being playable, and learning the lore of the Hedgehogs and whatnot. Now, granted, this takes place on a series of islands called Starfall, so who knows? All of this could just have been made up, you know? So I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Now, before we get off the subject completely, I do want to say the other thing that I am a little bit nervous about with Frontiers, in terms of the writing, is I hope that Sega themselves are quite hands-off with the story, because Ian Flynn, I've seen his work and I know that he can write Sonic well, but I also know one of the handicaps that the IDW comics have is that Sega are quite firm about how characters can be used in certain ways. Like they've had certain rules in place about like what Shadow can do and how they don't really want to lean too much in his story these days, and little things like that. I kind of hope that now they've got him on as writing that he can just tell the story he wants to tell, and it's not so much of a okay, Sega want us to do this, so we have to do this. Because like that pretty much any of the criticisms that people have brought up in regards to the comics seem to boil down to that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, generally the way that I would always say that people should be writing stories and allowing people to write stories is, yeah, let the writers do their job. Don't put any ridiculous specifications on them, because otherwise you're just going to end up with a shit story.
Yeah, because like, to be fair, to a degree, I understand the importance of brand consistency and that, and if there's certain things that you don't want a particular character to like be seen doing or thinking about, or whatever, to a degree that makes sense, but you got to have leeway. You know, you got to be able to give people something to be able to follow along with these characters. You can't keep every character in the same position forever, you know?
Otherwise you just end up with like Shadow wielding a gun or some shit. We never need to see that, especially not here in LEGO Dimensions.
I was going to say that that's the sort of stuff I think's cool, but you know.
I'd better not let this fall into the wrong hands.
Oh yeah, Lex Luthor. What's he going to do with the gold brick? Attempt to kill you with it. Ah, no, the copyright music. I must talk over it, even though it's probably going to get picked up anyway.
I like how Superman has a Sonic form now.
Yeah, that's his true Kryptonian form, mate. Alright, so we've talked about Frontiers basically as much as we can, given the limited information that we possess. So, Sonic 2 trailer next, guys. Richie, do you want to start us off?
I'm really excited. I thought it was an excellent trailer, and probably the way that I would describe it is the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 trailer looks very much like the Sonic movie that I kind of always wanted. So it ultimately it's what I wanted the first Sonic the Hedgehog movie to be, in that it's just Sonic and Tails and Knuckles and Eggman doing their thing. And obviously there's the human element of it as well, and all the stuff that's going to occur.
Yeah.
But it just looks so much fun, and yeah, just exactly what I was after. And while I did end up really enjoying the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, it was perhaps a little too close to being not quite in line with the franchise that I would have hoped. Is why I would say that I preferred Detective Pikachu as an adaptation of a franchise over Sonic, purely because it keeps more the rules of the series in line in the film. But the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 looks like it's going much more Sonic-y than trying to make a kids film, and that just makes me really excited.
Well, the first film was your basic alien comes to Earth and learns a lesson about friendship or whatever with Sonic, and you had Jim Carrey mugging it up, classic Jim Carrey style. But it worked, you know, it had a solid foundation. The relationship between Tom and Sonic, the irony of which is not lost on me, I assure you, just works. So I'm glad the human characters are actually back, because they help ground everything. Because you have the fantastical nature of Sonic, Knuckles and Tails and Robotnik, and then you have like Tom and his wife and the kooky sister-in-law who doesn't like, you know, the husband, and so on and so forth. But yeah, everything just looks like what I want from a sequel, and it seems like Jeff Fowler's just got like a lot more leeway now. So hopefully there's a lot less flossing and farting and more fighting. And Albie sounds a pound. And also, Knuckles looks and sounds and acts perfect, really. I couldn't really ask for a better, more faithful adaptation. More so than we've gotten in recent years, I assure you.
I feel like where the second film is going to benefit is that the first film had a lot of setup that you kind of had to have.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when you've got this sort of concept of, you know, the wacky cartoon animal interacting with the real world, you know, you kind of mandated to have the antics of him getting to know a person, and they're going to play their roles. And, like, you know, if someone gives you a plot synopsis, you know how it's going to play out, and you kind of have to do that. Whereas now, that's already set. You know, Sonic has established himself in this world. We know what's going on with Eggman now. So now they can just have fun in that world that's been brought up. And that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to, like as Richie said, it's going to be more Sonic-y overall. And that's kind of the missing puzzle piece from the first film for me. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Actually, sort of, just to sort of pick up on that, that is basically the reason why I think Spider-Man Homecoming and all of the Marvel Spider-Man films worked, is because they skipped the setup that everybody knows, or that sort of difficult bit of having to go through of needing to do all that setup, and it just allowed the stories to be. And yeah, that's what the original Sonic movie kind of needed, but also it needed to have the setup to work. So yeah, just sort of thought I'd throw that in there as well.
Well, in fairness, like, Sonic doesn't have the decades-old origin story that everyone knows, so there was a lot more stuff that's kind of mandated, especially given it's mostly a video game series, and a lot of, like, the parents or the older brothers and sisters who have to take the kids to see it will need, for their benefit, more so than the kids are watching. So yeah, like, there's a lot more that you have to do than, like, say, for a comic book series where we've seen Uncle Ben die like 300 times, so we don't need to see it again, you know?
We'll see what that freshman year cartoon brings us on Disney Plus. But yeah, more stuff about Sonic 2. We have a Chaos Emerald in the mix. Might be the Master Emerald. I'm not sure whether that's confirmed or not. But Jeff Fowler has, like, gone on record about Sonic and Knuckles' relationship being very antagonistic and whatnot. And, you know, this is a character Sonic just can't beat in a fight, like, head on. Knuckles just destroys him with something that kind of looks like the Red Hot Knuckles attack, or the Maximum Heat Knuckles attack from SA1, which I thought was a nice touch.
Feels very much like they're leading up to the Sonic and Knuckles rivalry as the main focus of the film, and I'm cool with that. It kind of makes it a film adaptation of Sonic 3 and Knuckles to a degree, and, you know, like, that's the first big Sonic story, really, isn't it? So that makes sense to be the thing you adapt first.
I mean, Sonic 2, the game, is literally just Death Egg goes up, Death Egg comes down. So I can see why they would combine that with Sonic 3 and Knuckles, because it's just efficient that way.
Oh yeah.
And because they've done that, that may mean we either get CD next or go straight to Adventure.
I think it would be more likely to go to Adventure, because CD, I can't really think much of what you could do. Like, if you're gonna have the Metal Sonic story, you could easily integrate that into Adventure somewhere anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel like the Metal Sonic rivalry could carry a film the same way Knuckles could.
And also the way Shadow could. Like, at the end of the day, Shadow is a much more effective rival than Metal Sonic has ever been.
Debatable.
At least in terms of personality, anyway.
I like Metal Sonic, but Shadow has so much more to him, like, to work with. Although, then again, that leads into will Sega want them to do that? Because it seems like every time they've used Shadow in the main media, they've completely ignored all his backstory and all stuff like that. So whether they want to reinterpret that in a film, it's anyone's guess, really, because, like, if they bring him in, they could well be mandated just to make him, like, evil Sonic or something. And that's what I'm kind of worried about if they bring Shadow in, that they kind of could end up missing the point of what people like about Shadow.
What do people like about Shadow Flame? Tell us.
Well, bearing in mind that I consider people as me, I like that he was there for me. But no, like Shadow, I kind of feel like, yes, he is very much, and you can't avoid the fact that he was the early 2000s recolor, and he was gritty and all that. But I feel his story tying in with what Gerald was doing in the arc, and that kind of is a big part of him. And for as long as they've not been doing stories with him on that scale, he's kind of suffered because he has ultimately ended up being the stereotype that, you know, people who didn't pay attention to the story thought he was.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's Sonic Adventure 2 music playing here, so... It's like a halfway point between Death Egg and Crazy Gadget here, which is kind of cool to look at.
I was looking at the whole gravity switching thing. It's like, this is Crazy Gadget. I'm having flashbacks because I had just an awful time with Crazy Gadget when I playing Sonic Adventure 2 my first time. It was one of my biggest roadblocks that I had because I just could not figure out how to get around the bloody level.
That's okay, Hedgehog doesn't seem to know what he's doing here either. I'll shut my mouth.
So in fairness, this looks far more fiddly than Sonic Adventure 2 ever was.
Also debatable, Flame.
Sonic Adventure 2 is fine.
Okay, Flame. Sonic Adventure 2, bitch. Sonic Adventure 2.
It looks like what they're trying to make you do is use the gravity flip thing onto that laser platform that keeps disappearing, so you've got two different things that you kind of need to balance.
Let's see, we've covered Frontiers, we've covered the movie. I guess what we can cover next is something that has already happened in 2021. One of the highlights of the year, for me anyway, and Richie brought this up to us before we started recording, is the Sonic Symphony.
Oh yes, I mean that was just incredible. I've been re-listening to it because it's on Spotify now. So just like whilst I'm working, it's just like, yes, let's put a little bit of that on. And honestly, like the Speak With Your Heart from that is just glorious.
Yes.
As obviously Endless Possibility, Live and Learn, Night of the Wit, just all of it is just stunning to listen to and just makes me really very happy.
All 2 tracks from Sonic 3, amazing.
Hey, like, we got some deep cuts in there, like, we gotta have a bit of give and take.
We had a fucking Game Gear medley, which surprised me.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm really glad to see those games getting acknowledged officially, because that's normally the sort of thing that they skip past for these sort of things. So yeah, that entire symphony was just a pure straight up love letter to Sonic, and that, you know, you can't not appreciate that level of just love for the franchise. There it's out of all the celebrations you could have, it's like just having a concert. Playing off the fact that everyone who follows Sonic loves Sonic music, it's like being the most consistent part of the franchise. That was absolutely the right approach to have to celebrate it.
It is the one thing that Sonic has consistently been excellent at, and I don't think anybody has ever complained about. Like, basically every single game, bar a couple, Sonic 4, people just gone, I love the music, this music is great. So yeah, to celebrate with a symphony of all things and actually sort of bring some of those songs into a really wonderful experience and remix them, but also have both the orchestral side of things and also pay homage to that much more rocky sound that has been such a huge part of Sonic's history.
Yeah. Sonic isn't just like checkerboard, you know, designs and chiptunes and whatnot. It's also, you know, butt rock and, 3D environments where you're a little bit janky in the control department, but god darn it, they're being earnest and whatnot, so that earns them a little bit of leeway in my book.
Time Eater reference. Kill it higher.
There is also the fact we need to bring up that during the Crush 40 portion, like, Johnny Gioeli is a fantastic showman.
Yes.
And that kind of, it brought it home having Crush 40 on at the tail end. I really did enjoy that. Like, Crush 40, even considering outside of Sonic and that, one of my favourite bands, and even Johnny's extended work, like in Hardline, Axel Repo and that, he's got such a great performance tone to him, like, when he sings and that, and that to me is the perfect way to cap off that kind of event. And the one disappointment that I'll say that wasn't even the symphony's fault, but they had that fantastic arrangement of Speak With Your Heart that they then didn't use in Colours Ultimate.
That's not in the game?
No, they have a different remix of Speak With Your Heart, which is like a much lower key one.
Yeah.
It's kind of disappointing on the whole. Like, the fact that the first time I heard it was panned over to the left speaker because it was broken as shit when it came out. But even like the actual version of that remix, it's not that great. It just doesn't have the same energy behind it as either the original one or the symphony version.
That is sort of one of those things of, you kind of need to make sure that if you're going to throw something out there, it's going to be bloody amazing, because, like, odd example to bring up, but I'll bring it up anyway. So the first time that we heard some of the sort of key elements of Let It Go from Frozen were actually in a one of the shows at Disneyland. I think it was like the Colour of Magic experience with all the water, I think like California Adventures.
Right.
They had like a really gorgeous orchestral arrangement for it. And it was the first time we sort of heard it sort of in any relatively full capacity. And then when the actual song came out, it was just like, oh, this is quite simple in comparison. I was expecting this glorious full orchestral beauty, and then I got that. So obviously I still like Let It Go and I still like Frozen, but that was a sort of surprise disappointment that I was not necessarily expecting. And it's the same thing of the original Speak With Your Heart's a classic, but after you've heard glorious techno synth with orchestra version of Speak With Your Heart, you don't really want to listen to any other version, really, do you?
No. Every aspect of the symphony was fantastic. Like, my only complaint is there wasn't enough songs in certain like portions of the classic and adventure era stuff. Like the first third, Johnny and June did fantastic as usual. This is just stuff that you could build on in like Sequel Zone Act 2 or whatever. Like another symphony would be amazing. Say for like the 35th anniversary. I don't need it every year or whatever. God willing, HFC will still be around then. Knowing me, it probably will be. But yeah, no complaints there. But since we brought it up, I guess we can move on to something that came out also in 2021. Not nearly as well implemented, shall we say.
Yeah.
Sonic Colors Ultimate. Do you want to kick us off, Flame?
Yeah, if I could find where to start. Like, the Too Long Didn't Read is it's a shitball, but what's happened is that it came out and there were a lot of technical issues. There were issues with like the game logic and speed and that, but the biggest offender was the audio balancing. You would have things darting between the left and right speaker. You know, all these problems that you've never really seen in other Sonic games before, that you don't know how they've happened. But it very much, it left a lot to be desired, and it was not in a good state. Now, since then, we've had multiple patches that have still been a little bit fucky. Like, the first one was like clearing up the really offensive like flashing lights glitches that the Switch version had.
Yeah.
Then they sort of kinda fixed the audio balancing, but not really. because what was happening is that they'd sort of compressed everything down to a mono track, then just bounced that between the two stereo speakers. So it's not quite as high quality as it should be. And they've added a couple of little things, like they've got a few extra controls now. I haven't had a chance to try out the most recent patch that came out a few days ago at the time of recording, but like, you know, the fact that it took this long to get it remotely presentable, there's something going wrong behind the scenes there that's not being disclosed to us, and it's actually kind of worrying, you know?
Yeah.
They did add a thing where you can switch between the classic and the new tunes, which is something that the Spyro Reignited trilogy did, and all that does is it makes people a lot more open and friendly towards the new composer, you know, because it's like, oh, we don't have to be forced to listen to these new compositions when really we want to listen to Stuart Copeland's stuff. It's like, oh, maybe I'll give the new ones a listen. But considering like the new guy is the same guy here, it was a bit of a wrench when some of the remixes weren't as good as the originals, let's say. Otani is experimenting with his style a little bit, and some hits, like the new version of, Reach for the Stars and Speak with Your Heart, they're fantastic. It's some of the level themes that don't quite bang as much as they used to, so having the ability to switch between the soundtracks now, very helpful. The game still isn't in a presentable state, and I refuse to actually do a playthrough of it, despite owning the game. I haven't touched it yet, until it's fully patched and we have evidence that it works as intended.
I will say, when it comes to the new remixes for Colours, I think the problem there is that on their own, they're actually decent versions of the songs. The problem is that they don't complement the gameplay as well as the original ones do. Like, for the biggest example for me is Planet Wisp. Like, the opening from Planet Wisp, the way that you open with the gentle piano, which complements the first part of the level, where it's like just the outside natural area, and then you get the funk bass coming in over time as you get into the factory. That's just beautiful. You know, that's why I love that song so much. You don't get that same effect when you got the synth coming in straight away. It just doesn't really have the same effect, and like, if you're just listening to this on an arrangement album, it's perfectly fine, but for a game track, not quite so much, you know?
Yeah.
Problems with Sonic Colors Ultimate on the whole, it seems like that a lot of them stem from the fact that it was outsourced to another studio, and Sega don't have the best track record with working outside their own studios. That's why, even though, you know, we don't know what happened or who messed what up, I'm inclined to lean towards Sega there. Like, even if it was down to Blind Squirrel, you know, like, Sega are the ones selling it, so it's their responsibility. But we know when they were working with Big Red Button, they fucked over Big Red Button by basically making that deal with Nintendo behind the developers' backs. So like, Sega aren't really in my good graces when it comes to this sort of thing.
Yeah, no, that is definitely fair, because they've not proven really that they can work phenomenally well with other developers, apart from in certain circumstances.
No problem. Cool.
It's kind of disappointing, really. Like, that's the best way to sum up the entire situation, because Colours has been one of them games that, you know, you can look at various elements, so like level design maybe a bit blocky, and maybe the story is a bit short and stuff like that, but when you play the Wii version of Colours, it's one of them games that you're always going to have a good time no matter what.
Yeah.
And so to kind of see that crumbling away, and the fact that pretty much all of the changes, like, we haven't even talked about the new Jade Wisp that's kind of buggy and doesn't really work. Basically every change they added to that is a detriment. And even like the new visuals, the new lighting just doesn't really capture the same tone that the original one did. And it makes me wonder why they didn't just emulate it, honestly. Like, I know there's a bit of a stigma against emulated ports, but if it works and it gives you a good solid way, the fact that the game mostly can run at 60 on Dolphin with a few little sections that are a bit buggy, it just seems like that would be the obvious thing to do, and that would involve not causing a load of headaches trying to unfuck new problems that arose.
Yeah, it strikes me as them being a little bit insecure, like having to build upon what came before instead of just like polishing it up and putting it back out there. Like they felt they'd be viewed as too petty or whatever. But I don't know. I feel like they crippled. That's the only real descriptive I can think of right now. An already decent game. I know some people love colours, some people hate colours, but for me, I really like it, and it is disappointing. Like, I'm not usually disappointed when a Sonic game comes out and it's like half-baked or whatever, because I expect that. I didn't expect a game that was already pretty decent to end up this buggy and whatnot.
Ultimately, that's the problem that they have ended up with. They took a game that was perfectly functional, did everything that it was supposed to do, wasn't really that buggy from the standard sort of gameplay perspective, and just, made it a buggy mess, and you kind of just go, but it was fine, how did you break it?
I think the biggest problem there is that when it comes to the PS4, Xbox One and PC versions, you kind of got the trade-off, and you kind of got to decide, is having the boosted frame rate worth sacrificing everything else for? And different people are going to fall one way or the other, that's fine. The fact that there's the Switch version that still runs at 30 frames per second, you are releasing an objectively worse version of a game that was on the Wii. It's like there's no benefit to playing the new version there, and it makes you wonder what even is the fucking point, when you get to that stage.
Basically, yes.
So, what else do we have to talk about on the nitpicking power hour here? We've talked about Frontiers, we've covered the second movie.
No new Origins news? That's...
Well, it's even worth bringing up, because we literally do not know. Apart from, the fact it will have, 1, 2 Frey Knuckles in the CD. And that's about it. 3K is in widescreen, it seems, hooray.
Yeah, we haven't seen it yet, but we're told it's in widescreen. But one thing, and I'm gonna put this down now, see how you feel about it, because I think this is probably what's gonna happen. We've talked about in this game, in LEGO Dimensions, we had the legally distinct versions of existing Sonic songs. That's probably what the Origins 3K soundtrack's gonna be, so I would brace yourself for that.
Mm-hmm.
Either that or they might try to rework the PC versions, but I would be very surprised if we get the full unaltered soundtrack, at least for the Sonic 3 half. Because it feels like they're very intentionally not been reusing Sonic 3 stuff when they have from every other facet of classic Sonic up to this point. So the fact we're finally getting one, this might have just been the moment where they think, okay, people want this game, we're gonna have to make a compromise. If you are worried about that, I would brace yourself for it now, honestly. And in fairness, if it comes to PC, which I believe it is, then people will eventually make a mod, I imagine. So there is that, but we're gonna be that's something that could happen. So try not to be too disappointed when it does.
I mean, I suppose at the end of the day, if that is what happens, then if they could at least provide, a final explanation so that there is some truth out there as to why things have fallen out the way that they have with the Sonic 3 soundtrack, I think people will be much more likely to forgive any changes that are made, because it's been one of the longest outstanding sort of mysteries in the series' development, so...
Okay, but there's probably legal reasons why they can't disclose that. That's probably why they haven't, because I feel like at this point in time, if they were allowed to say, we can't use this, they probably would have, rather than just dancing around it awkwardly. I know that Michael Jackson's estate have been quite difficult to work with and had quite particular terms in a lot of cases, so that could very easily be part of it.
True.
This is one thing that I know a lot of the fingers get pointed toward Michael Jackson. This is quite a common thing in music licensing, that if you're working with a bigger artist, usually crediting them comes at a premium, because then that becomes a selling point for your game. And that's why quite a few times when Michael Jackson was in various things, he went uncredited. It's because the estate wanted to not just charge for the rights to use his music, but also the rights to use his name. That comes separately. That's something that would be negotiated for a higher rate. It's the same sort of logic behind why film studios want to have a big name actor when a smaller name actor could do the job just fine. It's kind of a selling point in itself, the fact that if you are using the person's name, that becomes something that works in your favour as marketing. So it's like working the complete opposite to, say, a smaller artist, where actually they would appreciate to be credited front and centre because that's good for them, for their careers.
Yeah.
It's like there's a threshold where the table flips in that respect. So yeah, like we see that. That's probably why they've never been able to officially say, like, yes, Michael Jackson worked on this game. They're probably just not allowed to.
Yeah.
That's basically everything I can think of to discuss here. All that's left to say is 2022 is going to be a pretty good year to be a Sonic fan, I feel, because we have the TV show Sonic Prime coming out, we have Origins and Frontiers if the latter doesn't get pushed to 23. There's other stuff I'm sure I'm forgetting here, but the movie, obviously. It's just going to be a grand time. And as for me, 2022 is going to start off with the Encyclopedia, which, a lot of people have got it already. The deluxe version got pushed into the new year, which is why I still don't have my copy. But Ian Flynn also helped out with that. There's a couple of typos and errors here and there. Like, for some reason, they thought that Bean, Knack and Bark were actually there in Sonic Mania and weren't just like mirages, even though they appear in the Mirage Saloon. But whatever. Very cool rendition of Hidden Palace Zone here with all the super emeralds and whatnot.
Going back to Origins, that's one of the reasons why I kind of hope they are using the Taxman versions of the games, because one of the things they added in the mobile version of Sonic 2 was the original Hidden Palace Zone. That's the sort of thing that I want to see if this is going to be like the definitive classic Sonic collection for the next generation. You know, like, let's have the full, like, polished up versions that we know are already out there but hard to get.
Considering how well received the Taxman ports have been, it's a no-brainer that really you should be basing it on that rather than going full on with the classics, because you want those quality of life features in there.
It's not even that, it's just the fact that this is enhancing a lot of ways. The one thing that I'm not entirely sure if he is working on it, or his team are working on it, is I know that his new team, Evening Star, I want to say, they're working on a new IP now, which could be quite interesting actually. It's a 3D platformer game, and they've teased the silhouette of the character, and it looks like they've got a kind of yo-yo, so that's probably what the gimmick of the game's going to be built around. Like, that's probably going to be its own mechanic. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more of that. Whether they're working on more Sonic stuff alongside it or not, I don't know. But like, I just really respect what that team do, so I'm excited for anything they bring out, really.
Totally fair.
Ah yes, the Emerald Puzzle.
Emerald says.
Oh god, it's going to be like the glowing puzzles in Donkey Kong Country, isn't it?
Kind of, yeah, but instead of getting a banana bird, this time we just get a golden brick, which I guess is the same thing. It's the same colour at the very least.
I'm slightly less tempted to eat it, but yeah.
Thank you, Ethan. Very cool.
Okay, I bet this is the last one.
Amachow is still fucking here, isn't he?
Well, he has to be there at all times, lest Sonic careen off the path and die in a pit of spikes.
It's like he could have been talking the whole time and my brain's just gone numb for it.
But this, I believe, is the last of, like, the random golden brick things. Now we're going to get to the quests, which each involve a particular Sonic character. We ran past a few of them as we were going around, but, what's going on here? Oh, you son of a bitch. Again?
We totally didn't see this coming, right?
Oops. Uh-oh. Well, never mind then. Listen, don't tell Knuckles it was me, okay? Hey, man.
Oh, Mike was having just a ball with this script. Alright, let me put this bloody thing back together.
Fine, I'll do Knuckles' job for him.
That's how easy it was in Adventure, so, you know, this is canon, I guess.
Yeah, I know, but we had to go and hunt around all over the place for him and that. This they were just lying next to the thing.
God, I wish it was this easy in SA2.
Well, because little baby can't handle having to get them one at a time.
No, I can't!
Revenge. It turns out is not
I have seen this ahead of time, yeah.
Amazing.
to humanity. I've been trying to figure out how best to achieve that goal for a long time now.
Shall I feed the poor?
Yes,
Cure the
a
sick?
few times. Yes, I'm the ultimate life form.
This is what Gerald wanted.
The only true way to inspire people to live their dreams is through the medium of flower arrangement.
The ultimate arrangement.
I know nothing about flowers, let alone how they should be arranged. What? You think you can help me?
You, non-specific character who I won't refer to just in case they're not playing as Sonic.
First, you'll need to hone your senses in order to find the ultimate flowers.
This is ridiculous.
I'm loving this, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Is this thing, like this whole overworld, Sonic's world if you will, with these character quests, which is where I feel like the bang for your buck comes with the Sonic the Hedgehog pack. The main story, not so much, but I get they had to make one for like each character pack, and this sort of thing just seems a lot more interesting to me, and the developers probably enjoyed it more as well.
There's more you can do with it because you've got the flexibility of having other characters around as well. You haven't got to try and, you know, keep everything cohesive based on this one particular figure that people have bought. And now, you know, because they're not trying to write a story, they can have these like fun, dumb little character moments. Like, you know, this is what I like from Shadow. I find him appealing when he's got these soft moments as well.
Just a minute, I'm summoning. Yes, this.
Not as fast as I'm used to, but at least I get to rest my legs.
Sonic's cardio must be insane on any given day of the week.
Pretty much everything about Sonic's body must be.
Alright, so where is the ultimate place for this? Is it here?
It's in the plant pot.
Well, there are multiple
We
plant
didn't
pots
really
around,
have
so...
flowers aboard the space colony. This is the ultimate position.
Shadow has an eye for this kind of thing.
Oh god, that could easily be taken out of context. Why did Flame have to be in this call when we were covering this particular quest? Thank you, Wild Style, or whatever the fuck your name is. Being the girl, you were perfectly suited to handle flowers.
Yes, it is Wild Style, obviously from the Lego Movie.
I still haven't seen that, I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Yeah, the Lego Movie is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, to be fair, the Lego Movie 2, the second part, is also pretty damn good. But there's just something quite special and magical about the first one.
Is it on a streaming service by any chance?
I think so. I've no idea which one, there's too many of the bloody things at this point, but...
Containing the ultimate flowers.
You got to the point where you You might as well just be buying each thing individually, considering you gotta get a different streaming service for everything you want to watch.
I guess. They're just like replacing television with the internet at this point, but we're not here to be boomers and whatnot. We've already been complaining for like upwards of an hour plus about a fucking game about Lego Sonic.
Okay, I think I've got another 25 minutes of boomering in me, don't worry.
Oh, Jesus.
I learned from the best. I'm just saying, only one of us is in our 30s.
Yeah, well... When we do this, is it called like Sonic Boomerang?
I guess. Now that sounds like a shitty fan name for a Sonic Boom fan. It's a good thing that no one liked Boom, because otherwise that would have been a thing.
Hey, I liked Boom's comics.
I liked Fire and Ice. That was a good game.
I like the song.
Okay, that's fair. Like the Crash 40 and Cash Cash version especially, I love that.
I'm just reminded of when I recorded the time meter, turned the music off and put Sonic Boom there. I felt like a fucking mad genius with editing skills to rival the gods.
Even though you can do that in-game anyway.
I know.
And it's more fun if you play it with a new venture from Sonic Rush Adventure.
Damn Big Svick. I'm just saying it's really noticeable with the Lego version of him.
I didn't realise you actually meant to say that out loud. I thought it was one of those thoughts that popped out.
Oh god, did I say that out loud? Shit.
One of the bits where you shouted the quiet bit.
Well, you know, I had a good time with Spidey No Way Home, and I've been hanging out with my friends here, and Christmas is in a few days. What can I say? I'll let that one slide.
And on top of all that, Biggs is type.
Froggy, what are you doing? Please.
Whee! He's gone to his death.
He couldn't take it anymore.
Well, here we go again. I saw some more water.
So yeah, head to Bodies of Water, where Froggy will no doubt be trying to find a new place to live.
Big is that one guy who just doesn't get the hint.
It's a really one-sided relationship. But I guess, like, the last thing we can discuss here, since we're not super close to the end, but we're, you know, wrapping up the character quests and whatnot, is one of our top games of the year.
Okay, well, who wants to go first then?
Oh, fine. I can do it, and
Actually, Richie, I'll give you some new parameters. We're going to be saving the top 3 for a Twitter thread that will go live on ntom64_HFC at 6 PM GMT on December 31st. Tell me your 4th and 5th games of your top 5.
oh bloody hell! Nice and specific. And now I'm trying to remember what I bloody told you on my top 3. So I would say new Pokemon Snap, because that was just amazing. Oh god. No More Heroes 3.
Okay.
I think those are. I mean, to be fair, I've only played like a few games that actually came out this year, which are new Pokemon Snap, Final Fantasy VII Remake Intermission, just the intermission bit, which was excellent, but I'm kind of those Final Fantasy VII Remake. So. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Near Replicant version, what do we call it? Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, No More Heroes 3, Neo The World Ends With You, Ken of Bridge of Spirits, and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game Complete Edition.
Fair enough.
But Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game, the Complete Edition, obviously is technically just a re-release of an old game. So, yeah, so new Pokemon Snap and No More Heroes 3, I think, for me, and my 4th and 5th place. Although, like, Near Replicant is in there in that mix, because that was a very excellent game as well, as is Intermission. To be honest, the games that I've played this year that are new, pretty much all of them have been very good to excellent. The only one that didn't quite match up to the level of quality was Balan Wonderworld.
Oh boy.
Days living in paradise with
I will still stand by and say it is not the worst thing in the world. It's not very good, but it's not bad. There were just a lot of choices that weren't the right ones, but it still has a level of enjoyability somewhere in there.
Yes! Lego Dimensions and Knuckles! You know the Sonic 2 movie is called Sonic vs. Knuckles in Japanese.
Amazing.
It makes sense, to be fair.
I want the third movie to be Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles. You have no excuse now.
You kind of have to, let's be fair.
So yeah, 4th and 5th place for me are Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. Great game, Rift Apart. I just hope the sequel can build on top of what's already there, because I think I mentioned this before in another playthrough or another commentary somewhere. It does feel like a lot of what went into Rift Apart was getting the technology working, and while the level design and, you know, gunplay, etc. is no slouch, you know, it doesn't feel as spicy as it could be. Although Rivet and Kit are fantastic, you know, they've slotted to the character line up like they'd always been there. The guns are fun. The arena stuff is sadly lacking, but again, that's probably down to, you know, getting the technology of the rifts working soundly in the first place. And my 5th place is No More Heroes 3. It has a lot of jank, but it has a lot of heart and a lot of chutzpah to boot.
So for me, like, I haven't really played that many new games this year, which, that's just the thing, I don't really follow new games that closely. Out of the ones I've played, like, this is the reason why I'm not doing one of them Twitter thread things, is because, like, out of the games that I can say that I've played and I think are great games, or at least solid games, like, my favourite game this year has been new Pokemon Snap. It's just such a, like I said on Twitter at the time, it's peak soul, and I stand by that. It's like, it is the epitome of a game that has had so much love into making everything work right, and just it immerses you in that world, and it uses the Pokemon world to, like, the greatest strength it could. The other game I've played that I enjoy quite a bit is the Dark Pictures anthology House of Ashes, which like, I know them games are a bit divisive between a lot of people. I feel like this one is a step up in terms of its production value. It's like, I guess the first two kind of funded it most likely, but like I do think it was really cool. The setting during the Iraq War was really cool. There's some stuff that I liked a lot that I can't really say because of spoilers, but I think it's probably the strongest one so far, even though I also did like Little Hope a lot. So, you know, like, I think that's a solid release. The only other new games I've played this year are Sonic Colors Ultimate, which speaks for itself, and also Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, which, okay, like, there's a lot of stuff to talk about with that, and we've sort of been flirting with the idea of covering that. We're going to be doing some Pokemon next year, whatever, so it'll get talked about, but, you know, there's enough issues with them that I wouldn't put them on like a top 3 or a top 5 or whatever, you know.
And just speaking of games for HFC coming up in the new year, we're going to be kicking things off with a 4-player cult run of Mario 3D World Plus, or whatever it's called, the Switch version. That'll be me, Flame, Tanner, and Samurai Snake, and that should hopefully be a good time. We're all going to be using wired connections, so things will stay stable. And Rich and I are going to be doing Kena Bridge of Spirits, best indie game of 2021. Thank you very much.
As I am looking forward to going through that again, sort of, as I was talking through my thoughts, and also seeing what your thoughts are as well, Tom.
They'll be very short, punctuated with a lot of ums, really.
Hey, you can't nick my shtick like that.
Oh, whatever. Look, 0 of 1 cookies. I know he's called Clocky now, don't worry.
That's the retcon that I don't think I'll ever be able to forgive him for. You have the character with the funniest name in all of fiction, and you go and change it.
Well, I know. I named myself after an N64. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, but you're real though.
Am I, Flame?
If not, then I probably need to see a therapist really soon.
Yeah, this has been like almost a decade-long delusion going on here.
Yeah, it has been that fucking long, hasn't it?
Jesus, when did we meet exactly, Flame?
It was definitely, like, in terms of being friendly with each other and that, it was probably about 2012, 2013.
Ah, yes.
I know I started doing stuff on the channel in 2014, so, yeah.
Our first com together, like all three of us, was Lost World, I think, wasn't it?
With us three, yeah.
Probably.
There's a lot of memories there of watching you die in Lava Mountain over and over and over.
When I was fighting that dude, the ground just gave way beneath me, and that was not my fault.
I like your story.
No, that one genuinely does just happen sometimes. So the one that I remember being like quite funny when you finally did beat it was during like the grind rail level in Lava Mountain, because you've been on that one section and you probably played through like 20 lives, and I remember you didn't notice you hit the checkpoint and then died again, and that, oh fuck, was like the most genuine sound of panic I've heard from anyone in a fucking Let's Play.
Well, since we're on the topic, and we've got some time to kill while more quests are going on, why don't we quickly review what playthroughs we have actually done together this year. Let me see if I can find the thing here. Created playlists.
Yeah, because you're going to have to get up that list, because I'm not going to be fast enough to get that.
That's fair. Sonic Mania Plus.
Fun.
Like that was one of the weaker ones in my eyes, and I feel it like being a retread kind of was part of that, but I feel like the commentary it wasn't bringing as much to the table as it could have.
Sometimes it happens, you know. HFC averages about 6 out of 10 anyway, so I guess it's kind of on brand. Then we had Chaotix and R next. We recorded those at the same time.
Chaotix was okay, and I really like R. R was probably one of my favourite Sonic LPs, honestly.
Yeah, I like both of those. I thought they were pretty good. This is where you come in, Rich.
No, sorry, I was going, yeah, I mean, honestly, I just remember R being a blast because I was just singing along in my head the entire time.
Very cool. Riders?
Riders, again, I think that was a decent LP. If there's one thing that I do want to do if we get to Zero Gravity, I would like to maybe keep it a bit more on topic to the game. That's the one thing that I feel was a mark against the Riders LP, because there was a lot of us just talking about the reveals and talking about that sort of thing, which works when it's a big thing like this, but I feel like we maybe didn't go into Riders mechanics enough.
Okay.
But like with Zero Gravity, at least there'll be the changes they made that we can compare, because I've actually got a lot to say about that.
Oh, well, there we go, something to look forward to. And the last Sonic LP we did before this one was the original that we actually put up on Sonic's birthday, I believe.
Yes.
I like that one. I'm also proud of my gameplay in that one, because that's probably the best run of Sonic 1 I've ever done.
Hey, good on you, mate. So what about you guys? Not just of the Sonic LPs we've recorded this year, which Sonic LP featuring, you know, the HFC trio do you enjoy the best? Which one do you think is the most lacking, shall we say? I can take it. I'm a big boy. No, I can't. No, I won't. I will take it very poorly. But I am interested in seeing what you guys have to say. And we have some cool Sonic playthroughs coming next year. Haven't discussed what they're going to be. But, you know, Colours Ultimate will probably be among those. Origins, most likely, unless we decide to save it for the second Sonic-a-thon. And Frontiers, hopefully, if it doesn't slip to 23.
Yeah.
Given what we see, I could imagine that one getting pushed back, and if it needs it, then I'd rather that happen. But, you know, either way it's Sonic, we've got a lot to pick from.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one thing with this little spiny blue fucker. You know, we're never going to run out of games. Like, you can keep digging further and further. There's always something else there to talk about.
chili dog is even hotter than the others.
If we're talking about like the LPs overall, I still think that the best one we've done, at least in my opinion, was the Unleashed 3 and HD one. That's been my favourite for a long time now.
That was pretty satisfying, yeah.
One of the first big projects that I'd sort of sunk my teeth into for the channel, and I feel like I've got a bit of a soft spot there. And I also distinctly remember it was about halfway through us recording that I started taking my meds, and it shows. Like, there's a massive jumping energy from me, like about halfway through that LP, and I don't think it's ever gone back.
Ah, bless you, mate.
Spaghetti on their heads, they... What? Chili dog? Oh, no, I don't think that would work.
So yeah, we're just going around collecting chili dogs. I remember when I went to the Summer of Sonic way back when I actually went outside. I had a couple of chili dogs there. They were as nice as advertised.
We now know we can trust Sonic.
God bless.
Oh, that's good, because I just... Oh, yes, that's good.
Of course, like, the ultimate collectible would be the chili dog here. It just makes sense.
It's one of the little facets of Sonic's character that's been the most consistent through all the different continuities now, isn't it?
Like, even more so than the music, which is really strange to say.
Yeah, that's one thing. When we were going over all the recent announcements of Sonic, that's the one thing we skipped over in the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog is getting a Blu-ray release.
There you go.
Discotech announced that the other day, and I don't know how much genuine demand there was for that, but the fact that it's available again, that is nice.
Excellent work. The orphans...
You know, I didn't bring this up because Richie actually wasn't part of it, but on my birthday this year, November 24th, 2021, Flame and I did a Sonic Adventure 2 randomizer run. And,
Oh, yes.
And that was fantastic. That was one of my favourite projects of the year. So if you haven't seen that, yeah, after you're done watching this, hopefully, go check that out. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that randomizer was fantastic. You don't realise just how beautiful that kind of thing can be until you're watching it through for yourself.
Until you suddenly turn into Wario.
Take this worthless artifact I found lying around as well. Adieu.
Goodbye, Dr. Eggbotnik. Thank you. Just one more to go, and that's all the golden bricks, baby.
Yay!
Are you tired, Rich?
I am very tired. My brain's just going... Whee!
Dude, I went to go see Spooderman, so I was running on adrenaline when I came home, just from sheer saditude of being a nerd watching his favourite superhero on the screen that is big, and now I have just enough energy to make it to the end of this part.
Personally, I slept all day and still ended up being tired, so yeah, that's how I'm working.
You might just be overtired, but...
Probably, yeah. But then, I'm not very good at this whole sleeping lark. I think anyone who sees me shitposting online at like 4 in the morning knows that.
Oh god, Chow trying to sing Believe in Myself. Ugh.
We're in agreement that the SA1 version is superior, right?
Yeah, like for believing myself, yeah, definitely.
I can't really remember the SA1 version to Believe in Myself, because obviously I've never played SA1.
That's something you should change, Rich. Like, I know the classic games aren't really your thing, but I think you would genuinely enjoy SA1.
Yeah, I know, I need to get to it at some point, but hey, life's a thing now.
We haven't covered it ourselves. I know it's sacrilege, because that was me and FDA's first Sonic playthrough together, and on the channel as well, but, you know, that was 2008, now it's 2000 and late.
Also, you did the GameCube version, so there's no reason we can't do the Dreamcast one.
Yes.
For a LP, just so it's distinct from that one.
Oh, I want to feel the Dreamcast controller in my hands again.
I have my Dreamcast set up now. I've been experimenting with some stuff like for some of my own projects. I miss the feel of the Dreamcast controller. I don't miss how fucking loud the thing is when you're using it.
Sorry, yeah, well, it is a loud controller, but also when you turn Sonic Adventure on, you best be ready to have your volume down, otherwise it will blow you out the window with concussive force.
Everything about the Dreamcast there, when you put Sonic Adventure in and it's got that title screen, but also the Dreamcast itself sounds like it is going to take off. And like, I don't even know how it happens. It must retain some kind of energy, because like before I'd even plug the thing in, I was just getting my HD upscaler thing set up, and it was already beeping coming from the console. It must just be able to tell that there's something plugged into it that it's not used to or something.
No.
Like, that machine was built just to be as loud as fucking possible.
There you go. Hey, look, it's one of these things from CD. Very cool.
Oh yeah, them things that I completely ignore and just do the special stages instead.
There you go.
Maybe brains will work instead.
So yeah, we're just walking around helping Tails to do a thing, and we are very much in the end game of this video now, folks. So
This is why feature-length parts are only for the strong of heart, because oh boy, they are behemoths.
it's a lot easier to do live, I found, because you're very much in the moment, and you're not just sitting there watching like a screen. You're interacting with stuff on screen, and like your co-com can watch you via like screen share, and they get to interact with stuff that's happening live. Here, you know, Sonic attacking these guys will always happen and play out in the same exact way. So
See, like, I'm different there, and I usually find the pre-recorded stuff much easier to work with, but there's a reason why when I'm recording stuff on my own Flames World, I usually record the longer parts in chunks and then splice them together. It is... You don't realise how tiring talking to yourself for an hour is until you try it.
oh, there was a very brief period where I tried to do TV comms on my own, and not only is that a very lonely experience, because I'm not an independent guy. I like working with a team and whatnot. I don't know where I was going with this, but the point is, I enjoy working with a team, and now we need Batman. So maybe that's the lesson that I needed to learn all along.
Yeah, one thing you need to know when making internet videos, invite Batman along.
Here he is. Thank you, Batman. Very cool.
Nicely done. You know what to do next.
Destroy it. Oh, thank you, Tails, the god of war.
This destroying it doesn't seem to be working quite as smoothly as I hoped.
No, we need to bring in Tom Cruise to fix things.
A white man needed to fix this. A blue hedgehog could never.
You're left on my radar.
Christ.
Know that. And
So yeah, we're destroying these things and bringing the flowers back, which is essentially what happened in the Sonic CD.
Yeah, basically.
Where are you leading me, you two-tailed freak?
I was gonna make a comment about how I think CD's the best classic Sonic game, but I don't think we've got enough time left in the part for that argument.
Yeah. You know your spiels about how CD is the best go on for like 10 minutes, so...
Well, yeah, it's just a more interesting game than the others. That's the TLDR.
I'm just going to steer clear of that argument and watch Tails run really, really slowly to his goal. I thought this was Sonic go fast, not Tails go slow.
No, this is frame rate go down.
Richie, you're missing the trick with these kind of arguments, because really, if you have no stake in an argument, but people are arguing around you, what you really want to do is back up both sides, because then they get more confident and keep arguing.
Ah,
True. Yeah.
playing the field, as it were. Very cool, Flame. You know your shitposting.
I know how to get engagement.
I could take this to its logical conclusion, but I'm not going to, because we're recording this near Christmas, and I'm feeling festive.
And I'm not, so it'll just be one-way bullying.
something, but I don't see anything around.
Tails, it's right in front of you.
His face slightly angled off to the right so he can't see it. He's got Pokemon trainer vision.
Spot that. I was barely getting anything in my readings. Now let's reroute the energy and blow this thing to pieces.
White man powers, activate! Alright, Sonic, then you put this stuff back together, switch back to Ethan, and bada bing, bada boom. I think we're coming to the end here, so we hope you've enjoyed our little shitpost through LEGO Dimensions, Sonic the Hedgehog, level pack, etc, etc for the Xbox 360. We've been a bit critical about it, but overall, I think it's fairly inoffensive, and if you had, like, a buddy to play through it with you, I could see myself enjoying this, especially if I was younger. But we have, like, quote-unquote real Sonic games to get to next year, so thank you very much for a great year of HFC. We hope you've enjoyed the videos that Flame, Richie and I have done as a trio, and just, like, every combination, permutation of me and other co-coms. It's always fun to create content for you guys. So I've been Top64.
I've been the Flameclaw.
And I've been Richie.
And we'll see you in the new year for more HellfireComms. Bye-bye.